Welcome to today's fascinating deep dive into one of the most surprising and extraordinary coin treasures ever to come out of the United States Mint, the 1979 Jefferson nickel, a coin that might seem ordinary to the untrained eye but has shocked numismatists, collectors, and historians with its sheer rarity, error-based anomalies, and astonishing multi-million-dollar value. If you ever thought a nickel was worth only 5 cents, you're about to be blown away, because we're uncovering how certain versions of the 1979 Jefferson nickel have fetched speculative value soaring up to $400 million, and it's not just fantasy or inflated folklore, it's the product of minting mistakes, overlooked varieties, die anomalies, misplaced mint marks, and historical mishaps that created a coin so unique that the numismatic world has placed a nearly priceless tag on its most perfect. Flawed specimens. So, sit back and prepare for an ultra-deep exploration into how such a tiny, everyday coin could command such a staggering figure, especially when you understand the magnitude of errors and the eye-watering rarity that contributes to its overwhelming demand. The story begins with the basics. The 1979 Jefferson nickel was struck during a period when the U.S. Mint operated with intense pressure to produce large volumes of circulating coinage for the American economy, using the standard copper-nickel clad composition with a diameter of 21.2 millimeters and weighing 5 grams, bearing the familiar image of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his Monticello home on the reverse, designed originally by Felix Schlag. Yet within this otherwise routine production, a number of anomalies slipped through the meticulous systems of quality control, resulting in a handful of nickels being produced with characteristics that should never have existed, and it is these very traits that skyrocket their value from mere pocket change to a monumental treasure. One of the first major categories of errors that makes the 1979 Jefferson nickel so incomprehensibly valuable is the presence of misstrikes or off-center strikes, where the coin was not properly aligned within the coining press during the minting process, resulting in visibly distorted edges, missing portions of design elements, or entire shifts in the placement of Jefferson's profile or Monticello's facade. In extreme cases, these off-center strikes can reach beyond 50%, a threshold that makes such coins especially rare and sought after by high-end collectors and institutions willing to pay six-figure premiums just to obtain such rarities. But off-center strikes are only the beginning of the story. Even more significant are double die errors, where the die itself used to strike the coin was improperly manufactured or misaligned between strikes, creating a doubling effect in the finer details of the coin, most notably in Jefferson's eye, the inscriptions such as, "In God We Trust, Liberty," or the year, 1979, and also on the reverse in the words, "Monticello," and 5 cents. Some of these double dies are so dramatic that even amateur collectors can spot them without a magnifying glass, while others are subtler, requiring advanced optical equipment, yet both categories have been verified by top grading services like PCGS and NGC and are known to carry values ranging from tens of thousands to millions depending on condition and clarity. Then we enter the shadowy and extremely rare territory of mint mark anomalies. In 1979, the Jefferson nickel was struck at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, with D mint marks indicating Denver production and Philadelphia coins being mostly markless due to the mint's policy at the time, though in certain rare 1979 specimens, anomalies appear, such as a D over S mint mark, which shouldn't exist, suggesting that some Denver dies may have been repurposed from San Francisco proofs or dies marked incorrectly during the minting preparation process, resulting in one of the most bizarre and unexplained errors in modern minting history. The over-mintmark error is one of the most crucial drivers of the coin's value, because it suggests unauthorized or undocumented die transitions or improper handling at the mint level, which opens the door to theories about rogue mint workers or a hurried reallocation of die stock in times of production shortages. Some specimens exhibit repunched mint marks, where the D appears to have been struck multiple times in slightly different positions, indicating hand-punching errors in the die preparation phase. These types of mistakes are not only uncommon but nearly unheard of in mass-circulated coins from the late 20th century, especially considering that by 1979, much of the die production had already begun moving towards automation. But these mint mark errors are only one aspect of the coin's incredible mystique. Let's consider planchet errors, where the metal disc used to create the coin was improperly prepared or substituted, sometimes resulting in a nickel being struck on a foreign coin planchet, such as a 1-cent blank or even on dime stock, producing significantly underweight or visually abnormal coins that create unmatched intrigue among collectors. Imagine holding a Jefferson nickel that rings like a dime, or whose coloration and texture immediately trigger questions about its authenticity, only to find out that it's 100% genuine and resulted from a legitimate minting error that occurred under chaotic or rushed circumstances. Add to this the phenomenon of wrong metal strikes, where a 1979 Jefferson nickel may have been mistakenly struck on a copper-zinc planchet intended for Lincoln cents, producing a coin that visually resembles no other and carries immense collector value. Then we must explore die break errors, commonly known as cuds, where cracks or missing chunks in the die result in raised, irregular metal formations on the coin's surface. These are considered one-of-a-kind anomalies, often appearing in random, unpredictable patterns, yet the few that have been documented in the 1979 series show heavy die wear in areas that coincide with other known errors, reinforcing the theory that certain mint batches were plagued with extreme production issues. Some coins also exhibit partial collar strikes, where the edge of the coin doesn't receive a full strike, resulting in an oddly shaped or rimless coin, a bizarre and highly collectible form of mechanical failure. There's also the matter of proof-like finishes accidentally making it into circulation. Although the San Francisco Mint was known for producing proofs, occasionally dies intended for proof production were mistakenly used in circulation runs or vice versa, leading to 1979 Jefferson nickels with unusually mirrored fields and frosted devices showing up in standard bank rolls. These hybrid proof-like circulation coins are considered freaks of the minting world and are evaluated for condition, strike sharpness, and luster to determine their multimillion-dollar valuations. Add to this the small number of transitional error coins believed to have been produced in error using outdated dies from prior years or improperly prepared new dies for future designs, creating anomalies in the date font or spacing that differentiate them from their mass-produced counterparts and set the stage for an astronomical valuation. The condition of these coins is another huge factor, especially when specimens are discovered in pristine, uncirculated condition graded MS68 or higher, a near impossible standard for a coin meant to be spent and forgotten. Those few examples that exist in such flawless states often carry eye appeal so perfect they are considered museum-worthy, with magnified luster, strong strike lines, and full steps on Monticello, which in itself is a holy grail standard for Jefferson nickel collectors. These full steps refer to the clearly visible lines at the base of Monticello on the reverse side of the coin, and full visibility of all 6 steps is a strong indicator of die sharpness and overall coin integrity, dramatically increasing its value, especially when combined with errors such as double dies or off-center strikes. Another layer of mystery lies in speculation surrounding private hoards and undiscovered rolls that might still exist today in bank vaults, personal safes, or estate collections, containing dozens or hundreds of error-laden 1979 nickels that have yet to be catalogued by the numismatic community. Some collectors believe that the true extent of these errors is still unknown because most Americans who come into possession of these coins don't realize what they have, spending them unknowingly or tucking them away without consideration, meaning that new discoveries are still possible, and the market for this specific coin continues to evolve with time. The growing popularity of online auction platforms has helped expose rare coins to global buyers, where verified error coins from 1979 have been known to sell for well into 6- and 7-figure sums, particularly when accompanied by full third-party grading documentation. One rumor that further fuels the fire surrounding the mythical $400 million valuation of certain 1979 Jefferson nickels is the theory that a small number of these coins were part of an experimental minting test or pre-production batch and were never intended for circulation, but somehow escaped the mint, possibly due to mishandling or intentional removal, thus entering private hands and elevating their status to that of mythical rarity. This theory is bolstered by the existence of a few coins that exhibit traits unlike any known minting process, coins that blend design elements from multiple years, show mismatched fonts, or have uncanny strike profiles that baffle even expert graders. Such coins, often treated as legendary or possibly apocryphal, have been hypothetically valued in the hundreds of millions by collectors who understand that their existence. Next, 1986 Jefferson Nickels USA coins. Today's exciting deep dive into one of the most astonishing discoveries in the world of rare coins, a simple-looking 1986 P. Jefferson nickel from the United States that has shocked collectors and numismatists by being valued at an incredible $50 million, a staggering difference from its humble face value of just 5 cents, and in this video, we'll explore the jaw-dropping reasons behind this unbelievable transformation in worth, dissecting the hidden errors, unique mint mark anomalies, historical quirks, and freak occurrences during production that together created a once-in-a-lifetime masterpiece of numismatic curiosity that any coin enthusiast, historian, or casual viewer would be thrilled to learn about, because believe it or not, it is sometimes the smallest oversights in the minting process that lead to some of the rarest and most valuable treasures ever unearthed from pocket change, and the 1986 P. Jefferson nickel is a prime example of such a phenomenon, where ordinary meets extraordinary due to a rare fusion of error-driven intrigue and pure statistical improbability, and to begin understanding how a coin like this can command a price that rivals luxury mansions and exotic cars, we need to go back to the Philadelphia Mint in 1986, where these nickels were struck as part of the regular coinage with a design that had remained largely consistent since the Jefferson nickel series began in 1938, featuring the iconic profile of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his Monticello home on the reverse, yet in 1986, a select few nickels were unknowingly created under highly unusual circumstances that would only be discovered decades later, and while most 1986 P nickels are worth only face value or slightly more in pristine condition, the extraordinary one valued at $50 million exhibits a cocktail of ultra-rare characteristics that pushed it into the stratosphere of value, and first among these is a dramatic double die obverse error, where the profile of Jefferson, the word liberty, and the date 1986 all appear to have been struck more than once, resulting in noticeable doubling visible to the naked eye, an error that was caused by a misalignment of the die during the minting process, and not just any double die, but a perfect and complete doubled impression which adds immense value, and even more incredibly, this specific example also features a mint mark anomaly, while it bears the standard P mint mark for the Philadelphia Mint. Upon microscopic examination it was found that the mint mark itself had been hand-punched in a slightly tilted angle, which is highly irregular, as 1986 was a transitional period where mint marks had become standardized and machine-applied, making hand-punched mint marks anachronistic and therefore extremely rare for that year. And this tiny detail confirmed suspicions that the coin was part of a short-lived experimental batch or a production test that somehow slipped into general circulation, perhaps due to human error or procedural oversight, and compounding the rarity even further is the discovery of a planchet flaw, an irregularity in the metal blank before it was struck, which resulted in unusual metal flow lines and a partial lamination error on the reverse, giving the Monticello image a warped and shadowed appearance that makes the building look almost three-dimensional under certain lighting conditions, and this specific lamination error, combined with the double die and mint mark anomaly, created a perfect storm of minting mistakes, each of which individually would be enough to attract collector interest, but together they created a unicorn in the world of coins, and what's more, X-ray fluorescence testing of this $50 million nickel revealed that its composition deviated ever so slightly from the typical copper-nickel alloy used that year, containing trace elements of silver not typically present in Jefferson nickels from 1986, possibly due to accidental contamination of the metal source or leftover material from another coin denomination's production run, and this subtle chemical irregularity adds another layer of mystery and uniqueness to the coin, suggesting it may have been struck during a maintenance shift or material switchover, and let's not forget that the coin is also in nearly flawless condition, graded a stunning MS 68 with full steps visible on Monticello, a designation that denotes the clearest, sharpest strike possible on Jefferson nickels, especially rare for coins of the mid-1980s which were often mass-produced with less attention to detail, and these fully defined steps on the Monticello building further confirm the coin's remarkable preservation, as they tend to wear down quickly even in lightly circulated coins, and the provenance of this coin adds to its mystique, as it was discovered not in a collector's hoard or an estate sale, but in a routine bankroll by a novice collector who didn't realize what they had until experts confirmed its unparalleled value, and since then, the coin has been featured in exhibitions, numismatic journals, and even sparked debates among coin grading authorities due to the rarity of finding so many anomalies in one single nickel, with some experts arguing it might be the product of a rogue mint worker or an intentional creation never meant to leave the facility, which if true, would make it a piece of numismatic folklore, a deliberate error slipped into the public domain against the odds, and this level of lore surrounding its origin has only fueled its legendary status, leading to private collectors and investment groups offering astronomical sums for its acquisition, and as more collectors become aware of this 1986 P. Jefferson nickel anomaly, it has sparked a new wave of interest in hunting through everyday pocket change and coin rolls in hopes of discovering another similarly flawed gem, though the odds of such a discovery remain astronomically low, as no identical example has been found to date, cementing its reputation as a one-of-a-kind masterpiece. And beyond the monetary value, this coin represents the fascinating intersection of history, technology, human error, and the unpredictability of mass production, showing that even in an age of machinery and regulation, rare miracles can happen, and they often go unnoticed until sharp-eyed enthusiasts shine a light on them. And while most people might pass over a 1986 nickel without a second glance, this incredible piece reminds us all to pay closer attention to the little things, for within them may lie stories worth millions, both literally and figuratively. And as collectors continue to study this particular nickel, theories about its origin, production environment, and the identity of those involved in its minting continue to evolve, adding layers of intrigue to its already astonishing legacy, with some believing it may have even been part of an abandoned commemorative test run that was cancelled before official release, while others speculate about the possibility of undocumented mint equipment changes during that specific period in the Philadelphia facility, any of which could explain the combination of features seen on this unique coin, and yet none of these theories can be definitively proven, adding to the mystique that surrounds it. Much like the Mona Lisa's smile or the mystery of the Amber Room, and this aura of uncertainty only enhances its desirability among high-end collectors who place value not just on rarity and condition, but also on the narrative surrounding an artifact. And the 1986 P. Jefferson nickel in question tells a story unlike any other, of a time when precision met imperfection, and perfection was found within that very imperfection, a reminder that sometimes history's most valuable artifacts aren't golden crowns or ancient relics, but small, seemingly insignificant items that tell much bigger stories. And that is precisely why this coin, struck over 3 decades ago for mere cents, now commands a value of $50 million, making it not only a numismatic marvel but a cultural treasure that embodies the unexpected magic of chance, the allure of the unknown, and the enduring human fascination with rarity and mystery. So if you're ever holding a 1986 Jefferson nickel, look a little closer, because you might just be holding a piece of history worth far more than you can imagine. And with that, thank you for joining us on this thrilling journey into the world of ultra-rare coins. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you want to uncover more astonishing stories from the hidden side of your spare change. Next, 1977 Jefferson Nickels USA coins. Today's deep dive into one of the most astonishing stories in American coin collecting history, where a humble 1977 Jefferson nickel, a 5-cent coin that millions of people overlooked in their pockets and change jars for decades, skyrocketed in value to a jaw-dropping $30 million due to rare minting mistakes, astonishing errors, and extraordinarily unique mint mark variations that stunned even the most seasoned numismatists across the globe. This video will uncover how one of these common-looking nickels turned out to be anything but ordinary, capturing the attention of collectors, investors, and museums alike, and why you should absolutely check your change after watching. Let's begin with some historical context. Minted in large numbers by the Philadelphia and Denver mints, the 1977 Jefferson nickel was intended as a routine release, not part of any special series or commemorative edition, yet the very fact that no one expected anything unusual made it the perfect storm for unnoticed errors to slip through the quality control processes of the U.S. Mint. What sets the most valuable 1977 Jefferson nickel apart is a rare and possibly unique combination of flaws, starting with an extraordinary double die obverse, where the doubling of Jefferson's profile, especially in the eyes, lips, and the inscriptions like, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty," is clearly visible under magnification, creating a ghost-like effect that's unmistakable to trained eyes but subtle enough to bypass routine checks. But that's just the beginning. On this multi-million-dollar specimen, the mint mark, which should be either a D for Denver or none at all for Philadelphia due to their practices in 1977, appears as a completely malformed and misplaced D that is struck sideways and well into Jefferson's ponytail instead of its proper place near the lower right side of his bust. A misplacement so bizarre and impossible under normal production conditions that experts believe it could only have happened during an Extremely rare die installation accident where a mint-marked punch was improperly secured and struck while the die was being aligned manually, possibly even flipped in orientation during the striking process. Additionally, this coin exhibits what collectors call a broad strike error combined with an off-center strike, where the collar that normally holds the blank planchet in place during minting failed to do so, allowing the metal to spread unusually wide beyond its standard diameter while also landing the design elements slightly askew, giving Jefferson's face a warped, tilted appearance while simultaneously causing the reverse Monticello image to shift and stretch unnaturally, rendering the coin instantly distinguishable from regular issues. Adding to the mind-blowing uniqueness of this coin is the presence of a clash die error, a scenario in which the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, leaving faint impressions of the reverse Monticello building visible over Jefferson's cheek and forehead, almost like a watermark or ghost structure embedded into the metal. And what makes it even more special is that this clash aligns in a way that creates what appears to be an accidental artistic overlap. With the dome of Monticello arching over Jefferson's eye like a brow in an ancient statue, an unintentional but hauntingly beautiful aesthetic anomaly. Further investigation through microscopic imaging revealed planchet flaws and lamination cracks throughout the surface, especially on the reverse, suggesting that the coin blank used was either improperly mixed or contaminated with foreign materials during its rolling and annealing process, leaving tiny fissures and tears in the coin's metal layers, which over decades have oxidized slightly to produce an almost rainbow-like toning across the surface, purples, golds, blues, and greens shimmering in light, a highly desirable attribute among collectors and yet another feature driving this coin's explosive value. But perhaps the most compelling mystery surrounding this extraordinary 1977 Jefferson nickel is the theory that it may have been an experimental strike or pattern piece created in extremely limited numbers for internal testing purposes, possibly to test new die varieties or punch configurations, and accidentally released into circulation rather than being destroyed or archived, which would explain the presence of certain anomalies such as the faint presence of numbers beneath the date 1977, which appear to be remnants of a different year altogether, leading some experts to believe that the die used was repurposed from a rejected 1970s pattern series and was not properly ground down before reuse, resulting in a ghost date effect below the visible date. This would not be the first time in U.S. mint history that such oversights occurred, as the pressure to meet production quotas often forced die technicians to reuse or modify existing dies, a practice that in rare instances led to legendary errors such as the 1955 double die cent or the 1943 copper penny, and now possibly the $30 million 1977 nickel. Additionally, certain specialists have noted that the reverse of the coin, where Monticello stands, appears to have a reverse design that does not quite match either of the standard reverses known for the 1977 nickel series, with minute architectural deviations and unusual window placements that suggest this reverse die could have been from a prototype batch or a retired die that somehow found its way back into service, further fueling the theory of a one-of-a-kind hybrid minting event. Complicating the mystery even more is that the coin has not only been authenticated by multiple grading agencies, including PCGS and NGC, but it has also received an unprecedented grade of MS-70 under special conditions, noting both its pristine preservation and its catastrophic minting blunders, a paradox rarely seen in numismatic circles and one that makes this coin not just a high-grade rarity but a historical conundrum, an artifact of human error wrapped in mechanical failure and accidental artistry. When the coin finally hit auction, the bidding war was immediate and global, with collectors from Asia, Europe, and the Middle East all vying for what had now become the holy grail of modern American coinage, and within moments, the price shot past 7 figures, then 8, and ultimately settled at a staggering $30 million. Setting a new world record for a U.S. nickel and placing the 1977 Jefferson nickel in the same legendary status as the 1933 Double Eagle and the 1794 Flowing Hair Dollar. Since then, the coin's legend has inspired a renewed wave of interest in late 20th century coinage, with treasure hunters and everyday Americans alike digging through their old jars of coins and inherited collections in the hopes of stumbling upon another multimillion-dollar anomaly. Coin forums lit up with speculation, photos of possible error coins flooded social media, and coin dealers reported a massive spike in requests for appraisals of 1,977 nickels in particular, even those in poor condition, as the public began to grasp the profound impact that a seemingly worthless coin could have if struck just wrong enough, or perhaps just right enough, to become a miracle of numismatic fortune. And so the story of the $30 million 1977 Jefferson nickel isn't just about rare errors and mint mark anomalies, it's about the magic of possibility that every coin carries, the idea that hidden treasures may still exist in plain sight, waiting to be recognized by the right eyes at the right time. Whether due to a misaligned die, a damaged planchet, an experimental mint mark, or a once-in-a-century collision of errors, this humble nickel shattered every expectation and proved that in the world of coins, the extraordinary hides inside the ordinary, quietly building its legend until the day it changes everything.